was terrible at the end, but oh well. That's life, folks. Sometimes it works, sometimes it don't. Anywho, today we're going to be talking about, as you can see on the screen, a little bit some more about the X-Edit editor up here. And I'm so thrilled to be able to find this workaround here. All this is, like I said on the last video, is I'm just using QuickTime, and I've told it to start a new video recording. And see that right there. Right now it's in the waiting stage. So if I press record, it'll start recording, which I don't need that to happen because I'm using Snagit to record the screen. So basically QuickTime is acting as a way for my webcam to enable, basically. So we've got the Grinch back with us today. Last time he was involved in any kind of electric guitar stuff was on the Angels We Have Heard on High video, and hopefully you enjoyed that. Today, basically, I want to talk about some presets. I've got on my Google Calendar over here on my other monitor. I've got some notes on what to talk about today. I'm going to try to make it short. I felt like I rambled a little bit too much last time, and in general, I ramble a whole lot. Don't mean to, but we're going to try to make it short this time. It is 10 o'clock at night, and pretty tired. And so let's get on with this. We're going to talk about my presets here that I've got, and we've already went over the factory settings of the Digitech RP355 way back when on my Digitech, some of my Digitech RP355 demos videos that I've done. I think I did just like factory settings 1 through 40 something, then 40 through something else, or maybe it's 1 through 23 or whatever. You can do a search on my channel for that. But I never went over any of my personal settings, okay? And on the last screencast dealing with the X-Edit editor here, software, we talked about some of the different presets that I have. And I do plan on uploading these more than likely to the free jam tracks portion of my website. And I'll probably leave a link below. Once again, my eyes are drying out. I apologize for that. I'll probably leave a link below on that. Or you can, it's going to be the presets in regards to my Batitude video, presets that I used. And as you can see on the screen, one of them is called Flawless that I created. And that is one of the presets that I use on the Batitude video. And what I'll do is I'll upload these patches to that Jam Tracks page right close to the Batitude video where you can see it that those presets are there. And then you can upload them or download them and install them and save them on your own Digitech RP 155, 255, 355 and start using them yourself. So what I want to go over is some of those presets and just some ideas that I've got. Basically, like I said, the Steve Vai preset I didn't use in the Batitude. This was a preset that I downloaded, a patch I downloaded from the Digitech website. And if I'm not going to go over that again, like I said in the last video, you just need to check that one out. The one that's dealing with the tutorial and the setup of the X-Edit software, where you can find out where to download patches. And I've downloaded this one off of the Digitech website. These other ones basically are other tones that I like. Now, Satch is another one that I downloaded. I think it was called Revelation, is the tone here from his Revelation track. I think the rest of these are tones I've either created myself or just tweaked from other tones, like Paul Gilbert. I tried to listen to like the more Racer X type of tones that he has for like songs like Technical Difficulties. I mean, that's, some awesome tone he's got there. So I tried to listen to that and get a feel for like the Paul Gilbert sound, and this is as close as I could come up with. Like on the Digitech website, they don't have that, but I tried to get as close as I could. I do have his the phaser here instead of chorus, because nowadays he uses the phaser, so, or like a little Digivibe type thing. So I've got that instead of chorus, but I can change that on the fly if I need to, just by pressing this button. And guess what? I've got all these cool effects that I can use. Okay, so. But here's what that sounds like. obviously that is very hard, and I've still not got very good at that. Anyway, that's kind of his tone, in my opinion. Just messing around there. But anyway, let's get right on into this. I've already talked about the backing tracks or the backing track, jam track page that I'm going to upload these to. And let's just go over some of these. I mean, I guess what I could kind of demonstrate is the tones that you need to get this kind of sound, okay? Obviously, if you have a single coil guitar, you can use the pickup simulator here and change a single coil to a humbucker, okay? And you can see what that sounds like. I've got a humbucker, and if I wanted to have more of a strat sound, I could turn the pickup simulation on and now have a single coil sound. Now I can turn the simulation off. See the difference in that? How much more output it has? Or I could, if I've got a single coil, I can change it to a humbucker to a single coil. And well, that's what I should have had. This one right here. Okay, now that's what that sounds like. And if I take that off, still getting used to those pinky bends. Gotta remember to put all 4 fingers on there. Okay, so I can turn the simulation on, and it kind of brightens it up. Okay, so you got all these options here that you can mess with. But to get the sound that I've got on the Digitech, whether you have an RP55 or some of the new ones that have come out, like the Element or the RP360, or even some of the older things, here's what you can do to get the sound that I'm getting. Basically, the Gilbert is composed of the 77 Master Volume Amp model. Okay, that's this one, if you find it on your pedal. And it's also composed of, for the cabinet, I've got a British 412. Okay, now you got all these cabinets you can use. So the British 412 is what I get for amp A. Okay, distortion is on, and it's the 808 distortion. If I turn that off, we have this sound. So I decided to turn that on. Okay, to me that has more of a 80s kind of sound. It's an overdrive pedal instead of a distortion pedal, but it sounds pretty good to me. It sounds pretty close, and you can obviously adjust the level, the tone, the overdrive, and things like that. The equalizer is just a bright setting. I don't know, it seems like that worked better for me. If I change that now, it'll adjust all these parameters, which I don't want to do. But mainly for the main tone, what we're going to talk about is, for all these, most of the presets that I use and that you might find interesting, is just the amp model and the cabinet model, and probably the distortion model if it's a distortion type of model preset. The noise gate is on. I do find that with a Digitech, the noise gate does kind of hinder quite a bit with sustain. So the noise gate is on, but you have a digital compressor here, the Digitech compressor, and I think that's supposed to help with sustain. There's a sustain right here. Notice it's up to 99, so that's going to help those notes soar. And the only bad thing about the gate is that when you roll your volume off, it really kills the sound. So notice how it's just a little bit of a latency there. That's because the knob is rolled down. Now if I turn that gate off, notice how noisy that is. but we get more of a natural feel for our toning. But notice that happens. You get all this noise. That gate kind of kills that. Now the gate is, the threshold's 27. It's pretty low. That's about as low as I could get it without it, going overkill with a lot of the, the little nuances in sound and things like that. Attenuation is kind of high. I'm not exactly sure I want to keep it there. Bring that down, see what happens. You can hear that buzz. If I put it at about 50. Notice that when I let off the strings here. See, that's where you kind of test that, and you'll bring that up. Put on about 70 if I can get it there. I'm going to put that on 70 and then save it. It's about right. If it's too high, then we have a little problem. So let's go ahead and tell it File, Save. Okay. And that should save it straight to the preset. Hopefully. So let's go ahead and say this is 71. Now it's still saving. Notice the little pinwheel there. And I'm looking down at my pedal and I can see that it's got the little store light button on where it says to store it. Now if that saves, then that store button, that light should go away. And hopefully it will not freeze on me. Okay, that's asking me to save it as a different thing, which I don't want to do. Store preset, that's what I need to do. Store preset. Select preset. I need to store it on Gilbert. I need to name it Gilbert. Okay, I need to store it right where it is and name it what it is. And the store button went away. So now if I click on something else, come back to it, we see that the attenuation is now at 71. That's where we want it. So that's how you store a preset. Okay, so now I can roll off the volume and it not be so, laggy, the latency. You can hear that when I play it. Okay, so let's go ahead and continue on with some of these. There's my Gilbert Satch, like I said, you can download from the site. Okay, here's some other things that I recommend. Now, here's some tips for you, okay? When you have a multi-effects pedal, obviously, now the bad thing about the noise gate is, and this is part of the point I'm trying to make here, the noise gate, when you turn it off, got all that noise, right? Start getting feedback. Okay, now normally if this was a stomp box, then you could just click the pedal off and the noise will be gone. Okay, but you can't really do that with this, so the noise gate is kind of, you kind of have to have it with this pedal. Okay, so let me pause here just a second. Alright, had to sneeze. Okay, yeah, anyway, y'all didn't want to see that. So, Basically, I was talking about the noise gate. Usually when you just stomp the pedal and it's gone, the noise is. But with this kind of pedal and with a lot of effects pedals, you have to have the noise gate in effect, so because you can't really just stomp off the pedal. Unless you got in stomp box mode, which a lot of the times you're not going to have it there. You're going to have it in preset mode so you can shift back and forth between the different presets. Now, here's a tip for you. Whenever you're doing, that's tip number 1. Tip number 2, whenever you're doing whenever you have a multi-effects pedal like the Digitech, then what you want to do is make sure that you have a nice balance of distorted tones, clean tones, kind of overdrive, rhythm type tones, and maybe some lead tones in there. You kind of want to mix it up. But with me, since I don't play live a lot, I've got a lot of my personal favorites here in the front with one clean. This crystal right here is my only clean channel for the first, I guess 15 channels or so. So here's what it sounds like. See how beautiful that sounds? And that is a big difference if you've watched some of my earlier videos, like Hangouts and things like that, with me going from the 1/4-inch cable into the input jack using a little 3.5mm jack adapter of the Mac Mini. Now it sounds so much better because it's coming straight out of the pedal into the USB, which has a lot better sound quality. Almost like high definition HDMI has better sound quality than like coax or RCA cables. It just, bumps it up that much more. Now, I might not be perfect tune, but it's late and it was going to take, this thing takes a little while to tune up, having to, remove, if you can get them in the shot here, remove these, nut things here. I could just somehow maybe come over a little closer. They take a little while to tune, so I might not be in perfect tune. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and Crystal is one of the presets on the actual RP355. Patent Metal is just a preset that my brother made. He's in heavy metal stuff, and he used my pedal one time, and he used this pedal to basically, he took a metal channel, a metal preset, heavy metal preset, sound, and tweaked it a little bit. And that's, other than the fact that you need to have a nice combination of clean, lead, rhythm, and some other tones in there, like special effects like a pitch shifter and some other things that you might want. Another good way to get tones and to get your signature sound is to take a preset that's already there. Okay, take a preset that's already there and tweak it. Okay, and that's why I have, and I suggest, recommend to you that you take, here's tip number whatever we're on, 4, I guess. The first one was the noise gate. The second one was about the, having a balance of sound. The third one here is tweaking other current presets to make your own sound. Tip number 4 is have an experimental channel. That's what this is. This is my experimental channel. I have one channel, and it just happens to be in position 4. I don't know why. It just happens to be there. I have one channel that is totally for experimenting with sounds. Okay, so that I can, if I like it, I can save it to another preset channel area, a number there, and leave that channel intact so that I can tweak sounds and mess with tones and stuff like that. So I recommend you taking, a sound that you like and making it an experimental channel. Okay, saving it on some other place and making it experimental. And the cool thing is, if you completely get it out of whack, let's say I got this sound out of whack, I tweaked it so much that it's no longer where I want it to be. I've got warm sounds here. I got some bright sounds, or whatever this is, a rectifier. And when you change this, it'll change your cabinet for you, but that you can change it later if you want to without it changing the amp model. Notice that the amp model stayed the same. And let's say that's the EQ I wanted warm. I wanted maybe some sparkle drive distortion on there, and I wanted maybe some chorus. Okay, let's say I got the experimental channel all out of whack, alright? And that sounds whatever it sounds like now, which is this. To me, that sounds very weird. It's kind of surround sound sounding to me. So let's tweak that a little bit better to like maybe a mid boost. Let's go to a mid scoop. And say I got it totally different than what I wanted it to be. Well, all you have to do is find another sound that you like. And since this is a totally experimental channel, you can override it. Like say, I hate this now, I can't get it back to what I want it to be. Maybe I don't even have distortion on. Maybe I've turned it into a clean experimental channel. Instead of trying to turn all the effects off and trying to turn all the amps back to a clean amp, just save the clean setting, crystal, or whatever, save it and override the experimental channel. In other words, store the preset to this number. When you do it on the pedal, it'll have a number. You'll store it, you'll hit store, and then it'll ask you to name it. Okay? So let's say I had crystal on there, and I stored it and I renamed it experimental. Then I hit store again, and that's going to ask me where to store it. So I would move it to the experimental number, which in this case is 4, and I would overwrite that one so that I could have it back to where I want it to be, or I can have like a clean experimental and a distorted experimental. Maybe you have 2 experimental channels, whatever. So that's a cool way to do that without having to sit here and try to mess with everything back to where you want it and all this stuff. And I don't really typically like this sound, whatever this thing is. So let's change it to something else. See what we got now. What about a Boogie Mark II? It's a nice sound. I love the chorus. It's a very nice chorus. It's a dual chorus. It's not a multi, but it's a dual. That's why I'm getting that surround sound. If we put some delay in there, see what we got. Very nice, it's kind of a nice mid, not mid, but a little bit of a rhythm sound. Got a nice rhythm sound, like I said. It's not a lot of lead. You don't want to put on some distortion for that, Maybe distortion needs to be, the gain needs to be way up to 90 or something, Let's see what Amp B sounds like. Okay, so you can use that experimental to find a sound you like, and if you like it, store it on another setting, okay? And most of the time when you get these, they'll have preset settings, and some of them you'll like better than others. Just kind of get an idea, maybe you can write down on a piece of paper which numbers you don't really care about, which numbers you want to override. So definitely try that out. I definitely recommend that. That's tip number 4 for you. Okay, so the actual experimental channel sounds like this. And that comes from, that's kind of basically the same thing as Flawless. I experimented with something that I wanted, and I saved it as another preset, and I called it Flawless. Notice we have a Digitech high gain and a metal 4x4 cabinet. Now let's go back to experimental. Digitech high gain, and the only thing that's different is well, for the sound, is a cabinet. Distortion's not on here. For Flawless, the distortion is on. And the gain, all these settings here, notice how they change if they do. Yeah, there's like this goes down to 60 and this comes up to 25. But because I have a metal cabinet for like a a heavier sound, the distortion gain can stay where it is, and I have a nice tone. Now this is one of the tones that I used in the Batitude video, as I said earlier. This is the tone that Mr. Neon uses when he goes into his whole nother level. He takes it, when you thought things could get any more epic, he takes it to a whole nother level. And that's his own solo that he takes later on towards the end of the video. And so Flawless is what I'm using for that setting. Kind of sounds like that. I don't remember exactly. I think it was in C when I was doing it though. But I call it Flawless because to me, that tone is awesome. That tone is flawless. I mean, it's scooped out. I know it's a scooped, as you can see right here, it's scooped, is the EQ on it. Let's see what it sounds like if I turn this off. Notice how that really brightens it up. Now notice this is amp B as well. It's defaulted to go to amp B. Amp A sounds like this. Okay, so the thing that changed was the actual amp model. We have a metal here, and we have a high gain. I like the high gain better. To me, it just sounds, it has more punch to it, more snap. Okay, so that's Flawless, and basically we have a Digitech high gain. If you want to get this tone on your pedal, whatever it may be, Digitech high gain. And I know later on, like I said, I'm going to upload these to the Backing Tracks site when it gets closer for this thing to be released, this video. But this is, you might not be able to use that particular patch on your pedal. You may have a Boss, or you may have another Digitech pedal that you can't use that preset because it's not the same, software. You can't use it for some reason. Then I'm telling you these things so that you can get the same tones if you like these tones. Okay, so we have a Digitech high gain here. We have a Digitech metal 4x12 cabinet for the Flawless tone. Here are all the EQs, but basically I just set it to scoop, and then you can tweak it from there. That's another thing. Don't make things hard on yourself. Just as you can tweak presets, you can also tweak little things within that. Like if I wanted to have more of a middle scoop, I just sit on scoop and then adjust, fine tune it from there. Don't try to set everything, turn all the mids down, turn all the highs up and all this stuff. Let the pedal do it for you. Let the software here do it for you, okay? So for that we have an Octave Err is basically the effects that I use. Now this is not what I used for the main riff of Batitude. I'll show you what that is here in a minute. But here's what we sound now. The Octave Err is an octave higher, I think, or maybe lower. It's an octave lower. Okay, so we have an octave there. I really like the sound of that. It just makes it more even attitudier, if that's even a word. We got some just regular digital delay here. Okay, and I've also got some reverb on here, just a little bit. You can take that off if you want more of a very clean, distorted tone. Like if you're doing solos and you don't want a lot of, room. So. Okay, and you probably heard a little bit at the end of that, where the noise gate. Oh, maybe. The noise gate's doing a pretty good job. Of course, the attenuation is once again all the way up to 99. I can turn that down later if I want to. I'm not for that now. So we're going to put the reverb back on. Once again, anytime you make a change here, you're going to see the store button light up down there. And you can store it from here, or just press the store button and it'll store it right down there. But why work with a pedal when you've got it right here on the screen? I mean, that's what's awesome about this. I can turn the distortion off or whatever. So for this setting, we have high gain Digitech metal 4x12 cabinets, sparkle drive with these settings parameters. Okay. All right. So in the delay, these settings, it's not a big deal on the delay settings. It's basically whatever delay sounds good to you for the delay. And whatever we want to do here. The main thing is the tone. You can add your chorus, you can add your effects later, you can add an envelope filter if you want to. For all I care, that's up to you. But for the main tones, you have the Digitech high gain, the metal 4x12, and the sparkle drive. Okay, now let's blaze through the rest of these because now we're on 30 minutes, and I meant to make this a short video. Okay, so we had Gilbert. We talked about that. Now, I'm not going to go over every single amp model. It's just going to be on the main ones that I use. Like for Gilbert's amp A, amp B is something totally different. Okay, so just those are the tones that I use. 77 master volume, British 412, and an 808. We already talked about that. Experimental is my experimental channel, whatever. Crystal is already a preset that's on here. I think it's called something else, though. I don't know if it's called Crystal. But I call it Crystal because it's very nice and, crystally, Very, very pretty sound. Pat Metal, once again, my brother's name, and I forgot to mention this earlier. Pat is Patrick. That's my brother's name, okay? So he decided to make one called Pat Metal, and he used it like maybe there's a setting on here. It may even show it here. I think it's even called. I don't see it here, but I think there's a setting on here called Metallica, and I think he just used that, and then just tweaked it. Okay, so this setting is Digitech Metal. And then a Digitech 4x12 metal. There's no chorus, no digital delay, no reverb. It's solid, no effects, so that you can get that nice pure tone. I guess that's the word I'm looking for, the pure tone. The noise gate is on. Equalizer is a warm tone, which is I find odd that it's not a a scoop or a mid boost. No compressor. There's no simulation, and there's no distortion turned on. And look how awesome this sounds. And that's because it's warm. That's why it sounds so big and thick and full. Kind of hard to hit a bench harmonic with that setting, but okay, so you get a nice tone with that. If I was to take that and make it a boost, like a lot of metal sounds like, it's a little too much MIDI now. So let's go to scoop, see what that sounds like. I like the scoop sound. Let's compare that with a warm one. You can see the warm is a little bit more bass driven, and you can see what that does here. I mean, if I take it and put it at warm and bright, I don't know if it actually, yeah, it does change these parameters here. So we have for the warm, we have the hertz, the middle at 2 decibels, and then 1700, and for the scoop, we have the mids all the way down pretty much, and the bass is up. But that's the tone I'm used to. I like the scoop tone better than I do the boost tone. And for the warm, the bass is still at 5. We have a little more mids, and treble's -8. Okay, So if I go back to the scoop, we see that the treble is up a little bit. So the warm, the treble is down a lot, and there's a little bit of mids here, okay? But it does have a really nice tone, okay? So to get this tone, all you have to do is you get your metal 4x12, get yourself a warm EQ, and that's pretty much it. Now if we put some chorus on this, it would sound amazing. Okay, so I mean, awesome. You can get you some delay on there, start sounding like 80s stuff. That's a big amount of delay. We have 500 millihertz, so that's what's lasting a long time. Okay, so let's see. I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but the Gilbert is a bright tone. I think I did mention that. Let's go on down the line here. Rat Attack is just basically, there's already a preset on here that has the same kind of rat sound. Notice you have a rodent, which is based after the Proco Rat sound. So their distortion sounds like that. Add a little distortion to that. The rodent distortion sounds like this. Has a very nice 80s almost tone. Like I said, this is already a preset that's on there. The 355. 80s is another preset that's already on here. It's actually called 80s, but I've tweaked it to my settings to what I like to sound. Although I'm not sure I like the mid boost, probably would like the scoop a little better. The boost does have more of an authentic, 80s tone. Kind of like that Welcome to the Jungle sound, Not exactly sure how to play that, but that's what I just heard it the other day on something. And so that's already on there, like I said, and I just tweaked it to my... And one other thing, I like the detune more than I do. Not more than I do, but as an alternative to chorus. The detune is a really good effect. Okay, for the Petrucci, okay, I don't know what I based this off of, but I really like the sound of this, and this is one of the tones that was used in the Batitude video as well. This is Mr. White's solo. It's been a while since I've done it. And I will do a video on those licks here, probably right after this one. But that's the tone that I was using for that. And it's a very nice tone, very, if you think of John Petrucci, you think of a lot of fast picking. It probably would even sound more like him if I put it on a warm tone. Okay, so, but I'm just going to leave it where it is, which was, I think, the scoop. To get that tone, you get a high gain Digitech, you get a vintage V30, some of these I don't know what they are, 4x12, you've got a scoop tone, and there's no distortion whatsoever. If I put that on, you would have this sound. It gives a little more, grit to it. There's no delay. There's nothing like that. Chorus sounds real good with this. Delay sounds real good with this. I'm really digging that dual chorus. I mean, that gives you a really nice surround sound effect. Definitely recommend that. I like that. Another thing that's cool is, I just noticed now, I think, if I'm not mistaken, when I plugged in with a 1/4-inch jack, that was in the mono channel, because it acts as a mono channel if you put it in the the left output acts as a mono channel. But when you're using the USB, it's stereo. So you can get, you know, the angle of the sound coming right at you from both directions. And I've got my speakers on either side of my monitors here. If I did a multi-course, let's see what that sounds like to my ears. It sounds a little more lush, but it doesn't have that nice surround sound. You know, where the sound envelops you. You know, it sounds really good. Okay, so basically that's the Petrucci sound. The Flawless we already talked about, but just a review, it is also a scooped sound. Digitech high gain, metal 4x12, reverb. These down here basically is to your discretion, your preference. Okay, the main thing is what's the tone, what's the EQ, and what's the distortion. We have a sparkle drive for the distortion, and it is already on. Okay, so if I did that, again, the sparkle drive to me just adds a little bit, just a little bit more. Okay, you just kind of got to be in the room and hear it yourself. Okay, so some of the other settings that I really like is Bonamassa. This is after Joe Bonamassa's tone. I really think this kind of mimics it. Again, I used a different tone. Don't know what I used, but I kind of tweaked it to get what I wanted to hear. And this is what it sounds like. Now, I can't do that real fast. He does a lot of those, you know, back and forth licks. I can't do a lot of those licks, but he does. He does a lot of those. For that tone, we have the 81 Boogie Mark II, the Mesa Boogie amp. We have the Digitech ALT 4x12. We have a mid boost, and there's a little bit of delay there, an analog delay at 300 millihertz. Now, for this, to me, the delay is key there. Now, if I didn't have that delay, it wouldn't sound a lot like Joe Bonamassa to me. That delay really kicks it in to me. And then, this is a really good tone for blues. I mean, that's what he's known for, you know. I'm trying to think of what I'm hearing in my head. It's totally off the top of my head. I gotta remember that. I just now figured that out. But you don't want that. You want that high note. You want that E to stay there. And then that leads you right into the power chord, the B. Okay, so that's the Bonamassa sound. We have a tube screamer that's already enabled. Obviously, you know, you got to have that tube screamer sound for blues. There's a little more edge to it. Little Texas. This is already one that's already preset. Once again, I tweaked it to my settings. I don't see it on here, but at one time I did have this as a pickup simulator from humbucker to single coil, because I use humbuckers, the DiMarzio chopper on my Stratocaster, and to get that single coil sound, that high, you know, Texas twang, I had to enable that pickup simulator. Okay, so you can do that to your choosing. You know, like I said, that's a really handy tool, and it totally makes it sound twanger. See, like for now, I've got a humbucker, so let's make it sound. Here's what it sounds like. It's really deep. Let's enable the pickup simulator, humbucker same coil. Okay, so I mean that really bumps the tone up of that. For the little Texas, this is actually the effect that I used on the majority, if not the whole way through my Texas Blues guitar course. I used the little Texas effect. And what I really liked about that is when I played, you can use this rotary effect to get that nice Stevie Ray Vaughan cold shot tone. I'm going to go ahead and enable that pickup simulator. And now, here's the cold shot sound. If I can remember, I haven't heard that tune in a long time. Okay, so you got that nice rotary effect that Stevie used on Cold Shot, alright? So, basically this is a 77 master volume and a Bassman 4x12 cab. Mid boost is on this. Tube Screamer is not enabled, but when I wanted to get in distortion, it's there. Get that mouse down there. Okay, so that that really kicks it in overdrive. You get that rotary in there, the little Texas. Blues driver, brown sound, guitar bass, you get, you know, a nice bass sound. Okay, Slushie is another one that I really like, and I'm going to end this really quick. Slushie, and then I'm going to do one more tone, two more tones. Yeah, because the rest of these are basically already preset. I'm going to do two more tones and we'll be done, guys. Thank you so much for watching so far. It's late, you know, and I hopefully you guys are watching this late at night and you'll be like, man, I got time to kill, you know. And I really appreciate you guys. Hope you're learning a lot from this. I try my best not to ramble. It just happens sometimes, but I haven't been rambling a whole lot. It's been more or less, you know, some tutorial stuff on this. So, let's go to Slushie. Now, I call this Slushie because I love the sound of this thing. This has that roto vibe, univibe sound that Hendrix used to have. And, let's see, I think Paul Gilbert actually uses a little bit of this now. It's called a Digivibe, and I think it's from TC Electronics. But notice this sound. I love this sound, especially on the G chord, and this is why I call it Slushie. Hear that swirly sound? Now, if I turn the distortion on, you'll really hear it. It sounds really good. Swirly. I call it Slushie. I mean, it makes me think of those slushy machines where they're turning round and round and round to stir the slushies up. And I love this sound. I don't know. There's a lot of tone, a lot of songs. It seems like you'll hear this and you'll be like, "What is that? Is that a chorus? Is that a rotary? What is that?" It's a univibe. And I finally heard it, and I was like, "Man, this is what I'm looking for." So, I mean, that's what the sound is. but it sounds really good, clean. Very, very nice tone. Love it. It's a Digitech Clean with a twin 2x12 cabinet. We have a mid boost. For the distortion, I just decided to do Redline only because Redline is a Digitech patented distortion tone, and I hadn't used it on anything else. So I thought, well, let's try it out. You know, the low is at 50, the high is at 50, the level is low, the gain is not very high. But if I turned it up to 99, let's see what it sounds like now. Very, very nice tone. I love that. The Redline's a really good distortion to me. Really like that. I'm not going to worry about changing it back. But once again, here's the parameters. The Univibe is this. A delay, it doesn't really matter. I just decided to use an Echoplex. It sounded good to me. Plate reverb, if we turn this off, here's what the plate reverb sounds like. This back down to about 60 here. So it has a little bit of a really echoey sound. I mean, very, very nice and bouncy, kind of. Okay, so that's Slushie. I named it that because of that swirly sound. The other two last ones I'm going to show you, and then we're going to call it a night, guys. See, once again, here's 80s. Here's the actual 80s channel. Here's an Octave channel, which I think, let's see what that sounds like real quick. We've got an octave sound on that one. These are presets. It's already there. I've just never changed them. Okay, so octave, I think I took this in and tweaked it for the main riff for Batitude. And that's these last two that I'm going to go over. Chimey is the one I'm thinking of. I think that's the one I tweaked and to make it into crystal up here. Very nice tone, very nice. Okay, and the chimey is, if you'll notice these two up here, the crystal is bright and bright, and the chimey is just whatever goes into your amp. So it's not modeling anything. The EQ is bright though. We have a lot of delay, 600 millihertz. We have a repeat 30 of them. Detune, a plate there. So, anyway, I'm getting off topic here. Let me find these last two. Here it is. Alright, here's the last two. Down low is the one I took for the main riff for Batitude. That happens sometimes too. Love that sound. When I first heard this riff, okay, when I first heard what I just played, it would not leave me alone. It would not stop playing in my head. And it's something that I had heard, not heard, but I was hearing it as I created it up here. I mean, I heard it in my head, and I'm like, man, I got to record that. I mean, it bugged me for like a week and a half. And I said, I've just got to sit down and record this thing. It's just driving me crazy. And so the whole song spawned from that one riff. If you now go back watch Batitude 2.0. All right, go check that out. The whole song spawned from that riff. And as I was working with GarageBand and all the different tweaks and everything, all these other ideas started spinning off. And I decided let's use these other settings for those. So both Mr. Neon and Mr. White, both of those use the same down low patch. It's been a while since I've done that video. I've got to brush back up on these before I actually do a lesson on those licks. Okay, so the down low, here's what you got. You got a Digitech high gain. You got a vintage V30 4x12 cab. You have a mid boost. The equalizer's not even on. Okay, so all the EQ settings is right here. If I turn that on, to me it sounds more like a mid scoop sound. So let's put it on scoop and put this on. No, it's more saturated than that. It may even be a warm EQ. I'm not exactly sure what's going on here with this. There's no EQ at all. I guess it's just relying totally on these two sounds. I'm not exactly sure. The distortion now, this is where it gets cool. The pitch is what I'm using for that sound. If I didn't have it, here's what we would get if I took that off. You add that pitch, the amount is a whole octave below. Not 2 octaves, but 1 octave. 1 octave's enough. The mix is how much of it is in the actual sound. Like if I took the mix out, you couldn't hear it. But if I boosted it up, now there's too much of it in there. So you got to kind of find a good balance. I think that was at about, let's go ahead and reset it so we can figure out where we're at. Mix is 35. Now the cool thing is, I thought about doing this, but it was almost too much. I used an Octavia, which is, it boosts it an octave higher. So if I took the same one, you hear it kick in a high gear. Now you can definitely hear that when you take and put on the pitch and remove that. I almost wish I went back and did Mr. Neon's part with no pitch shift, but with an Octavia. I mean, it sounds good. Obviously, that's an octave higher. This is an octave lower. Okay, so that's what's cool about this is all this different stuff. You got your volume, you got your drive level, and if you put it together. Okay, so that's basically down low. That's the Batitude main riff tone. Once again, the EQ is, I don't really know if I push this on. It's basically set up for a mid boost, but the equalizer is not even on. So I don't know what the deal is with that. But like I said, I'm going to save these presets. I've already got them saved actually. I'm going to upload them so that you can download them yourself. And I apologize if I'm not looking directly at you. I'm actually looking at myself on the screen instead of up there at you. But anyway, we're now at an hour. Let's go ahead and do the very last setting here, the presets. And this one's called China Doll. And this one comes from a setting that I created. I think I used another, probably that chained. I think I actually did use that. The chain that we went to earlier. Let's see. Where did I see that? Chained. Notice it's using a flanger. We have Digitech metal, a British 412, a scoop, and that's it for that, okay? Digitech metal, a British 412, and a scoop. If I hit this, Digitech metal, a metal 412, and a warm. Okay, so I guess I'm thinking I tweaked that one. This tone is from, in my opinion, sounds like the Weeping China Doll from Steve Vai. Okay, so there's part of it. I can't play the whole thing. See how much it sounds like that? I mean, I played around with it and I was like, I've got to get that tone. Even though I don't have a 7-string sound on here, and I don't think I have a way to make a 7 7-string tone on here. That was something else I seen somewhere else. Another effect at NAMM or something like that, where you can make your guitar sound like 7-string guitar, the tuning. Oh, I think it was the PV guitar that has auto-tune. You can make it sound like a 7-string. I think that's where I'm getting that. But that would be a nice feature for Digitech to add to their pedals, a 7-string effect. But anyway, he uses 7-string, and I just, that low E sounds really nice and low enough to me. So. And I kind of took that and made my own little melody. I mean, that's full, it's bright, it's lush, it's awesome. This is a Digitech Metal 4x12 cab, a warm equalizer enabled. The screamer, I just never really bothered to change it because I don't see a need for any more distortion. So I just left it like it is. So I added the screamer. We'll just give it a more grit, more bite. It's a big stretch. Big old stretch right there. Okay, so anyway, maybe I can show you guys how to do that on another video or something down the road. It's already long enough. I did it kind of slow 2 or 3 times, so maybe you can catch on that. Anyway, this is, like I said, these are all the effects. The distortion was not enabled. The TC chorus, analog delay. There's no reverb, no need for it. So basically, that's the video tonight, guys. It's 11 o'clock, time for me to go to bed. And hopefully I can get this other video done of the actual how to play Batitude very soon. Okay, now I'm still debating whether to do it like this or, with the whole screen field. I may do it as a screencast like this, and if I need to, I can back up and zoom or whatever. Because I would also like to show you and use the actual Batitude video as a reference and say, well, here's how you play this section. Here's how you play this section. But obviously the quality is a little bit under, high definition, but that may be the price worth paying. So, and this way you can actually see where I'm going with my hands. And what I'll do, obviously, is back up to where you can see everything that's going on. Even my UT orange shorts here that totally do not match the Grinch shirt, alright? Anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching. I'm going to go ahead and zoom back out of here so you don't have to see the orange mesh. Boy, that's hard to say. Orange mesh shorts. The orange mesh shorts. Anyway, I'm getting loopy, guys. I'm going to get off here. Thanks so much for watching. There went my CD player, CD rack. Alright, thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you really got a lot out of this 1 hour and 5-minute video. Apologize if it was way too long. I'm sorry. All I know is that I'm trying to get you to understand and to look at some of these killer tones and how you can get killer tones like this out of your pedal. Okay, maybe Digitech, maybe something else. Even if it doesn't say Digitech Metal, maybe you've got a Boss, guitar workstation or whatever they call it, a guitar, you know, the new Boss big huge multi-effects things. Use a Digitech metal or a Boss metal and a Boss metal cabinet, or you know, use all the other. I know that they probably have a huge list of model amps and model cabinets, so you can do the same thing on a Boss or whatever other effect you got, a Zoom, a Line 6 pod, or whatever. This can give you an idea of what you can achieve on those and how to get those same sounds, even if you don't have an RP355 or, you know, another Digitech product. Okay, so that's the purpose of this video, to show you the presets that I use on a regular basis, as well as the ones I use on Batitude, and how you can get the same tones. Okay, the last video was a tutorial on how to use the Xedit software. This time I'm just showing you an easy way, and all the parameters and everything you see up here, to get these tones for yourself. Okay, so I'm not sure what I'll name this video, tones and, you know, I don't know. Anyway, my custom presets or something, I don't know. But thanks so much for watching, guys. I'm going to get off here, head to bed, get ready for another day of work tomorrow. Get some more videos done for you guys. Got a string review video I've been working on. I'm going to get finish some of that up, and probably an actual review of the Digitech pedal. I've never done a review. As many videos as I've done on the Digitech pedal, I've never done an actual review. And I'm going to do that probably, hopefully tomorrow. Maybe even finish this screencast up as well. I don't know. You just got to work some things around. So thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe. Please like this channel. Like this video. Share it with your friends. And check out my websites. secretsoftexasbluesguitar.com, where you can pick up the Texas Blues Guitar course on which I used this pedal exclusively, and www.bluegrassguitaressentials.com, where you can sign up for the newsletter or the mailing list to keep updated on all the events regarding Bluegrass Guitar Essentials, my new bluegrass guitar course. Okay, so thanks so much for watching. I'm gonna get off here, guys. You have a great night, and let's hope to goodness, cross every finger and toe, that this don't freeze. All right, thanks so much, guys. God bless. Have a great evening or morning, wherever you're at.